Welcome to the Food Startups Podcast, where we connect the opaque world of food startups. Hey guys, welcome to episode number 45. I'm so excited to have our guest today. I think they have the beginnings of a great company. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'd say number one, choosing a growing market. Insect protein products, insect food. It sounds kind of far out to some people, but as you're going to learn, it seems like an essential part of our gastronomic future, not only because of its sustainability, but it's also a really, really cool thing to eat and to flavor. And there's so many different types of insects that are defined as edible. The other two things that they have is passion. They're really, really excited about it, and that rubs off. You're going to learn so much about their company and where they want to go. And they also have expertise. They have a food science expert, and then they have a sales expert among the two of the three brothers that I get to speak with today. So I'm going to introduce them right now. Thanks so much for listening to our show. Today I'm excited to talk with Eli and Lee Cadesky. They are two of the three founders of Sifu Foods, an insect protein company. Guys, thanks so much for coming on the show. And I really want to talk about insect protein. Why is this going to be a big part of the future?
That's a great question, Matt. Insect protein really is already part of our present. 2 billion people around the world get a lot of their protein and essential nutrients every day from insects. It's really only North America and Western Europe that has bucked the trend thus far. But we really don't need to look too far in North America to see why insect protein really should be part of our diets. It's scary what's going on right now in California with that drought. And if we take a look at where that water in California goes, a lot of it goes towards animal agriculture. The amount of water needed to raise 1 pound of beef, that stat is scary. When we take a look at how much beef the average American eats, 80 pounds a year, well, that's equal to about 42 years worth of showering. It's a starkly scary number. So I think insects need to become part of our diet because the sustainability argument is really strong. When we have 2.5 billion more people on this planet, what are they going to eat?
Wow. So you got water is a huge thing, conserving water. I would also think methane gas from the cows as well as a factor. So to get this right for our listeners, the amount of meat consumed by the average American in a year is equal to 42 years of showering?
42 years of daily 5-minute showers.
Wow. Okay. So you guys mentioned to me there's 1,900 known at this point edible insect species. Which types of species are you guys playing around with right now?
Right now, we've been playing around with crickets, superworms, waxworms, and mealworms. We focus really on mealworms just because we love the flavor we get out of them, and they're available, they're easy to get on the market. But we're really interested in experimenting with some more species that could also offer some really interesting side benefits. Black soldier fly larvae are really interesting as a possible candidate because they're composters. Termites could be a fascinating one to work with too. Apparently they're really high in really high in iron. You can raise them on tree bark.
Wow. And I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I'm really curious. Can you be allergic to certain types of insect protein?
So it's a bit of a tricky question just because nobody really gets tested for an insect allergy. Insects share a lot of similarities with shellfish and shrimp. They're both arthropods. So generally, and you'll see this on any insect products that's sold in the US, they carry a warning for anyone with a shellfish allergy to avoid any insect products. And we generally tell anyone with a shellfish allergy to avoid eating seafood.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Now, Eli, can you explain why you and Lee, and I believe your third partner is Dan, why did you guys decide to start Sifu?
It's actually pretty funny how it all begins. Lee calls me one day back in September telling me what he's developed. And the two of us had a really long laugh about it. For the next couple of days, we went back and forth over what can we do with this? Like, how can we take what you've invented here and really open people's eyes to it? We started reading up about the importance of insect foods, specifically the UN report from 2013, which was just really, really well done at explaining the need for it. And then we started really examining what our product was and what it offered. Our product is uniform in taste and texture. So it's a great introduction to entomophagy for people who might get a little queasy at the sight of a whole mealworm or a whole cricket or anything like that. Our product allows people to go and explore and adventure food while at the same time not having to be so immersed into visuals that might turn others off.
Great. And listeners, the podcast, we're going to link on the episode page to this 2013 UN report. You'll be able to find it at foodstartupspodcast.com/worms. Now, Lee, can you go into the process of making at least your first product? I know you guys have a lot of ideas and a lot of things in the pipeline, but the tofu product made from mealworm. For someone who knows nothing about it, like myself, where do you get these worms from? And tell us about the byproducts that come from it.
Sure. I'm a graduate student at Cornell and I study food science, and I was researching, cheese, tofu, and certain fish and meat products that have some similar characteristics in terms of their food chemistry. Insects, like I said, they're pretty much just land shrimp. So, we're looking at it and seeing that really a lot of these principles that had been well established in fish processing could really apply to insects if we just found some little tweaks along the way. So we got some bugs. We ordered the first ones live on Amazon, and we just started working with them and seeing what we could develop. The underlying principle, it's about extracting the proteins in the bug and then restructuring them through just natural processes to create structures that we want and create textures that we like in food. I mean, we do this all the time when we cook beef or when we make tofu or cheese. They're built on the same principles, which is just finding ways to cleverly arrange proteins into great textures.
Okay, Lee, that's amazing. Live bugs on Amazon. You can really find anything there. You mentioned protein. Something that a lot of people have trouble understanding is the complete protein. Can you tell us first, are insect proteins complete proteins? And why does that really matter?
Yeah, insect proteins are complete proteins. Complete protein is a protein source that gives you all 20 of the amino acids you need, and in particular, the essential amino acids, which are ones that we need to get from our diet because we can't synthesize them with our bodies. We can't just make them out of other stuff. This is really important because if whatever you're doing, you need proteins to grow. If you're a bodybuilder or you're just somebody who's trying to lead a healthy life, making sure you get enough protein is really important to making sure your body has the materials it needs to rebuild itself. And your body will do that to the limit of the amino acids it has. You're as strong as your weakest link in the amino acid chain. So if you're getting 19 out of 20 of the amino acids you need, but you're still missing that one, it's as if you were only eating as much protein as that one amino acid you're missing.
Wow. So let's just say, I don't think any of us are, but if you were like a bodybuilder, right, you're only getting 19 out of 20, there's no way you could really compete.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's very important to get not only enough protein, but also enough quality protein.
Awesome. All right. Now, listen, I got hooked up with you guys via Aaron from Thought for Food. I'd like you to tell us about your experience. What exactly is Thought for Food, and tell us about the accelerator program that you guys did.
Thought for Food is much more than just a competition. We joined it under, it being a competition to help solve global problems. This year's question was, how do we feed 9 billion, 10 billion people come 2050? What I think we really loved about Thought for Food is the community element of it and how inspiring it is to be around such innovators, such like-minded people who are coming together to try to solve some of the biggest challenges that the human race is ever going to experience. Their accelerator program was spectacular. It challenged us in a creative and fun way to really understand what our product was, what our business model was. And when you're in the insect protein business, you surely imagine that coming up with creative and fun ways to challenge yourself and really define yourself is pretty challenging. I would certainly say, though, that Thought for Food was integral to getting us where we are today, especially the final rounds or the finalist boot camp sessions that were done in conjunction with Startup Pirates. They were just spectacular at helping us hone and craft and really well polish our pitch. At the end of the day, if we don't have a well-polished pitch, people aren't going to listen to us because some of our ideas are a little too revolutionary, I think, for the masses right now.
I'd say something that I've learned the hard way is you think it's like, man, I have this great product. It tastes great. It's really, really healthy. We have eco packaging, but the only problem is we have to change the perception of people. That's the one little thing that we have to do, and that is a huge, huge roadblock, and people have lost tons and tons of money on that. But sometimes the long-term approach they've made a huge impact and lots of money because they've been able to slowly make that change. I'd like to dig a little bit more into thought for food. Can you give us a before, after, something with your mindset or with your business idea that changed after doing the program?
For sure. When we originally started Thought for Food, what we thought as our customer base was just way too large. Who we thought our competition was every single food product on the market. And you really can't build a business if you think your customers are every human being and you think your competition is every product out there. There's no way to develop a strategy. Thought for Food challenged us to get out there and have other people try our products. So we went out and hosted, seafood tastings where we paired seafood with a variety of sauces in a few different ways, told everybody what they were eating, and had them come out and try it. Thought for Food was the catalyst of getting us out the door to find out what people wanted to, what people thought of our products. They pretty much said to us, if you think that this is a possibility to change the world for the better, we need to know what other people think about this. And it was amazing because we've had now 400 people try the product, probably about 100 of which were part of the Thought for Food Summit, which happened when we were there as finalists in Lisbon. And it's been a spectacular way to go and get feedback about what people liked, what people didn't like. The amazing thing we found also was that getting someone to try that first bite was really tough. After they had that first bite, a lot of times they came back for thirds and fourths. And having the courage and confidence to go out there and do that, I think that was a lot of that credit goes to Thought for Food for pushing us.
Wow, I'm sure there's got to be some people, because I'm a pretty adventurous eater myself, but I know people that are closed-minded. Were there some people where you just told them it was insect protein and they just turn around and go the other way?
Yeah, we get some people, that this just isn't for them, and that's fine. Like Ellie was saying, you can't start something, you can't start a business and with the idea that you're creating a product for everyone everywhere and your competition is everything. There's some people for whom insects just aren't something that they want to engage in. They're ready to try, and we see it as their loss. I mean, this is a really exciting time for food. This is a whole fascinating new world of tastes and flavors, and we want to get people to appreciate it for something that they can really enjoy and be excited about, not something that they have to in any way be nervous or fearful about.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing, guys. This is just my 2 cents here, but something that I've learned in a couple of years that I've been involved with food is I work with a lot of healthy superfoods. I used to be really discouraged when people had a strong distaste for the product. But what I really look for now is polarization. And so what do I mean by that? For me, it's way better that you have your fans that really love it and then another subset, which could be 60, 70% of the general population that just don't like it and they won't eat it. But you get that strong 30 or 3%. Then you have some type of food where everyone's like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. But those people that are kind of like it, they have a slightly positive feeling towards it. Are they really going to come back and buy it and be repeat customers? So to me, the polarization is really positive. So guys, I want to get a little bit into the education. I'm not sure if you guys have been to Natural Products Expo. West just happened in California, but in Baltimore in September, Natural Products East, I think it's in September or October. I'll look it up for you guys. But when you go there, it's really cool because there's a lot of new and innovative products. And I'll tell you a winner that I saw, and they were making a special type of quinoa. They're called quinoa sure. What they did is they made like a wheel. Like think of like the wheels from Wheel of Fortune, like that size with all like the benefits of it and comparing it. And so it just makes you think of education. What are your ideas on educating people for this first mealworm, I'll say seafood mealworm product?
Right now, I think there's never been a better time for insect foods, and there's never been just more people working together to really educate the public about the benefits of eating insects and why this can be a great solution. Ellie mentioned the report from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN. I mean, that was a 300-page report. It was written in 2013, and it's been downloaded over 6 million times since then. I think it was downloaded something like 2 million times in the first few hours that it was online. We're definitely seeing people who are interested in this and I think seeking materials out on their own. At the same time, we're going out and doing all the educational programming we can in person, just going out and having tastings, bringing seafood to people and letting them come and try it because we really believe that tasting is believing here. On top of that, I mean, we see just doing educational programs with schools being really important to just helping promote the cause. And we also see chefs as being really instrumental in getting insects onto the plate and into people's mouths. Chefs can just see things in foods that we don't see as people on the industry side or on the science side, and they can create an artfulness and I think a really great sense of trust with the consumer that helps bridge that gap. And the other thing I think to mention what Ellie said, right now we've had about 400 people try Sifu, and we're sending out samples right now to just people all over, people who are interested in the product, food writers, bloggers, chefs who want to work with it and help us develop new and better seafood products and new and better insect products.
Awesome. Now, what about the paperwork and getting food safe worms? How does that happen? Where do you find people growing worms that they'll sell for you and then to be able to put that into a food safe packaging?
Presently, we work with actually a farm out here outside of Toronto. Coincidentally, also three brothers, companies called Next Millennium Farms. They will soon be the world's first organic certified insect farm. And we now purchase food grade insects from them. They've been inspected by the CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. It's always fun too, because I'll buy them or Lee will buy them and we'll actually drive over the border into the US with, 10 pounds worth of frozen mealworms. And it's always a good chuckle with the border guard, giving him the paperwork and explaining to him what you're declaring over the border.
Do you guys need a lot of paperwork to bring those frozen worms into the US?
Yeah, a commercial invoice, like for Canada, you need a B13 export form, like whatever you would need standardly. And then also we get a CFIA inspection certificate, which I don't believe is required, but I always find it's just helpful to be able to go and say, hey, a country that's trusted, Canada, says these are totally healthy for consumption. Additionally, they're frozen, so they're dead. So you can bring them in without an issue.
Yeah, I definitely think for imports and all that type of stuff, optional but really helpful paperwork, you always want to have that because you never want to give them a reason to, to detain your merchandise or whatever it is. So that's really cool. What is your launch plan? Are you guys going to go in US, Canada, both? When do you guys plan to launch?
That's a great question and something we're working every day on. At present, we've secured a manufacturing facility for the end of May where we plan to produce a variety of our products because we make our tofu. We also make sort of like a Melba toast, a crisp cracker, gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, soy-free. That's something you'll find on all of our products. We also are hoping to do ice creams, chicken nuggets, schnitzels, hamburgers, and a variety of ready-to-eat meals. So our ideal plan is end of May to do a large production run in a plant-style facility. During that time in between, we're working on our packaging and our marketing and branding materials. The next step after May will be to be sending out samples to retailers who we believe, who currently carry insect protein products, we believe would be great retail partners. Additionally, we also want to send out samples to just individuals in all over North America who we believe, who are sustainably minded, adventurous, and have the power to help influence others and educate others about the importance of insect food products and just help get the word out there that, hey, this is actually fun and adventurous and exciting. This isn't, if we scale the yuck factor in relation to the fun, adventurous, and deliciousness of it, the deliciousness, fun factor, it wins.
That's awesome. I actually feel like I'm just listening to you guys by osmosis. I feel like your launch is going to be a lot of fun. It makes me think of Copali Organics. I'm not sure if you know about them. They started, I guess, out of Costa Rica, but ended up selling chocolate, fair trade organic chocolate from Peru. And for their launch, they got into Whole Foods and I don't know about nationally, but at least a lot of the regions. And, they would just drive around the country in a RV powered by used vegetable oil, and they would set up outside of Whole Foods and other stores they were in, and it got so much press and so much buzz, and it seems like you guys should be able to get a lot of buzz as well. I guess one last question. This seems like if you wanted to, maybe you could open yourselves up to investors. Is that something you guys have thought about?
Right now, we're self-capitalized entirely on this business, and we've been really focusing on just developing it ourselves, doing the R&D work, making the connections, and trying to do as much as we can just on our own. Me, Ellie, and Dan are all young, energetic people, and we're ready to go out there. But we're definitely interested in investors. We definitely see particularly packaging and marketing being very, very critical for something like this. It's got to be perfect right from the launch, and it's got to make sure that the people take this right off the shelves and it's something that they see and want to buy. And we're definitely interested in speaking with investors and working with other people in the industry that can help us make this a great success.
Guys, where can we find you online?
You can find us on our website, www.cfufoods.com. That's CFUFOODS seafoodfoods.com. We're also on Twitter at seafoodfoods and Facebook, facebook.com/seafoodfoods.
All right, guys, thanks so much for coming on to the show. You provided so much value today, and I hope to have you guys back in the future when you guys are national in Whole Foods.
Thanks for having us.
We love being here.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, find us online at foodstartupspodcast.com.